Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. This is going to be a great episode. We're going to learn a lot, so make sure get your pens, papers, have an open mind, and we're going to get right into it. But first, I'm going to play this intro.
This for the queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kissed goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti, black girl magic, melanin popping, whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog.
Hello, everyone. And again, welcome to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. This is a podcast about mental health and wellness for our community because, we can relate to each other only how we can relate to each other. If this is a replay, make sure you type replay in the comment section. If you're listening live, please type in the comment section which side of the world you are tuning in from. And this is interactive. We're all learning together. So make sure, send your thoughts. Make sure to type them in the comments. My lovely guest is so responsive to everyone. And you need to ask her questions while you have her on now. But if you have more, you can always reach her later. But we'll talk about that at the end of the podcast. All right. We have a fan favorite. And I freaking love her. Like, for real, she is amazing. I learn every time I listen to her, and I really pray that you all learn a lot from her as well. We have the lovely Cerita Yvonne.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I am, ever growing, always present, and really I'm wonderful because I have embodied being an expression of love. Hello.
Already. I love it. Again, I see people coming in. Please tell me where you all are coming from. I see Chicago, Illinois, Concord, North Carolina, Baltimore, Maryland. Just keep coming in and let me know how you all are doing and where you're coming from. Cerita, thank you so much for coming on. This is going to be a good topic tonight.
Oh, no, this is going to be a fantastic topic.
It really is. I'm going to ask you and some of the guests some questions before we get started. You didn't know about this part.
I didn't.
If I'm about to read off a list, if anything on this list sounds familiar, please drop a number 1 in the comment section and you let me know. All right. Have you heard your mother say this, or have you heard someone's mother say this? Or if you said it, I carried you for 9 months. You're too sensitive. You can't take a joke. You don't have to act like that. My child is smart, but too lazy to try. Ooh. You're my child, and I have the right to
fill in the blank.
Why aren't you good as my other child? You're going to be seen like that out in public? I don't even know I bother with you. Or, you look like your ugly ass father. I've heard that before. I have heard that. And my jaw dropped open just like yours. And he was a little boy. She said it to her son. Excuse me, her daughter. Yes. Not good. I know it. All right, let's get right into it. Unhealthy mother-daughter relationships.
Okay. So, can I say a little disclaimer before we
Please
begin?
do.
So, I want to thank all of you who are willing and open and just even if you just clicked on this live or you're listening to this podcast, I thank you for being willing to hear a perspective that can really change the way that you relate to yourself, the way that you relate to your mother, and especially your children. And so take all of this in from the perspective of being a daughter first. None of
Mm,
what we are going to say is meant for you to use this as fuel or a weapon to blame yourself or to feel shame. When we tell the truth, it's supposed to be freeing. And if you have children, you can use this information to begin to repair your relationship with your child or children from a very different place. Okay.
mm.
So recognize your innocence. If you have any questions, we're here. And if at any time, for some people, it might get deep because I plan on like getting real. So if you need me to do a very quick exercise where we just breathe together and we take a moment, I'm willing to do that because I want you to be willing to expand your window of tolerance so that you can be present to your own truth.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that. It's definitely needed. And I love that you are going to go deep because it's this is going to be some good conversation. My understanding of a mother daughter or toxic, unhealthy mother daughter relationship has to do with some emotional abandonment, emotional wounds. So, can you explain before we start peeling back all the layers? Can you explain what an emotional wound is?
Yes. So I want to simplify it for all of the listeners and all of the viewers who are watching us now, because I want to make it relatable. When
Mm,
we talk about a wound or an emotional wound, essentially what we're talking about is an emotionally immature parent. So a parent who ain't got all their tools, you may have been in some capacity emotionally abandoned or neglected, physically abused, verbally abused, emotionally abused, or betrayed in some way. And let's be clear, if at any time, in especially during your childhood, if your parent was inconsistent in any of the areas that you needed, if they didn't properly attune, meaning tune into your needs, not just the physical needs, your safety needs, your emotional needs, your need for validation and mirroring, your need for nurturance and physical touch. If those things weren't adequately met, then what results is a wound, a mother wound, an emotional wound. And when we talk about emotional wounds, what we're really talking about to get to the real is that because of that relationship with your mother, the wound that you have is with yourself.
ooh, okay. We starting. We going in already, and we're only 3 minutes in. And I also want to note that this mother wound, I'm learning that the spectrum is so vast,
It
and it
is.
can be like the character in Precious to
So
someone that
you ain't seen the movie, so you probably shouldn't even use that as an example because that is like the worst of the worst. Okay. So,
exactly. Oh, and but on the flip side, you can have it as very covert. You just don't know at all. And
okay.
yeah,
Now you do we need to break that down? Because someone might not know what covert is, right?
okay, thank you. So I'll give myself as an example. My mom, she wasn't like Precious. If you could, if Precious was a 10, the movie, my mom is totally on the opposite spectrum. So it took me decades. Like I literally just figured out 2 years ago that some of the things my mom would say or do. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. We've all have watched Love and Marriage Huntsville, and if anyone notices how Tisha's mom fights for Tisha, My mom wasn't toxic mouth with it, but it doesn't matter. It was still toxic. Like I'm fighting. It was the opposite. I'm fighting her battles. That's unhealthy. That is
So,
unhealthy.
and you remember what the word for that is. So basically, if you were fighting her battles, then you took on the role of the parent.
Yes.
So you were parentified.
Yes. I feel like I was parentified and had an enmeshment with my mom.
Yes. Because basically I love how you speak in all this therapy and psychology lingo. Okay, you know the language, baby.
Well, I go
Uh
to love you. So,
yes. And so basically what that means is that you learn to meet your mother's needs instead of her having to meet yours. So in many ways you became the emotional caretaker, and that is a sign of an emotionally immature parent. Because
yes.
if the child is taking care of the parent, there ain't no room for the child. Like if the only reflection that I am constantly seeing is my mother's, then I am not developing myself. I'm not developing my relationship with me. I'm not in tune with or tending to my own emotions and needs. It's all about what is external.
Exactly. So, a family situation happened decades ago, and no, as a child as well, and even until an adult, and I'm still working on it. It's better, but what my mom was going through, I truly took it on as my own. Like I
Yes,
felt I
because
was the betrayed person.
and that makes sense because you felt the need to protect her.
Exactly.
And that's
Exactly.
what happens when the roles are flipped. And see, this is where the conversation can get very deep real quick because so many Black women are raised this way. The spectrum may look different, but so many of us have either been taught or conditioned to meet the needs of our parent. And in some relationships, some families, it's almost expected. Some of the things you named at the beginning, I carried you for 9 months. It's like you owe me.
Right. That's like going to the movies. I don't and you're buying me a ticket to a movie I don't even watch, but you expect me to sit there and like it and enjoy it. That's
But see, it's
control.
about a movie that I want to see. And then because I'm enjoying, I'm expecting you to enjoy it too. So you need to enjoy it because that's what makes me happy. So what makes me happy should make you happy.
Right. Before we go on any further, I just want to address this
Come
comment
on now,
here.
because I'm ready to take it a step further.
Please do. So Tashawn hello, by the way, Tashawn said, hello, I'm a mother of 5 children and 2 grown women. And due to social media, only one perspective has been televised. I want to discuss how many moms are currently being mentally abused by their daughters. Let's discuss the two-edged sword, please. So that's coming. But right now, and I do respect your comment, but we're going to go to the mother side first. And this is not a judgment episode whatsoever, but we're getting to the root. Go ahead.
Yeah. So can I add to that? I can
Sure.
appreciate the fact
Yes.
that you want to have a well-rounded perspective. However, we have a very specific topic and very specific content on this particular episode. And so maybe we can plan that next to talk about mothers who may be abused by their daughters. But the essence of that comment of what you're saying is that mama ain't setting boundaries. And so there's an issue there that we can absolutely uncover.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are expecting or thinking that blame is supposed to be placed on one, no, because there should be power dynamics in a relationship, and not just power dynamics, but boundaries in every relationship. And the mother
Absolutely.
is responsible for setting those.
Yeah. But this is a good topic we can put a pin in for another episode. But right now, let's talk about does a mother wound always have to be traumatic? Because we talked about my situation, which is on one end of the spectrum, and then as we know, Precious movie is on the other end. So does it always have to be traumatic?
Well, okay, so this is a topic that I it would make sense for us to talk about after we dig in deeper, because to say, if does it always have to be traumatic, we need to first really unpack it and uncover it.
Okay.
Now, because the idea of a mother wound is traumatic. Now, when you say does it have to be traumatic, meaning does it always has to have to show up in a person's life negatively? And
Mm-hmm.
so to answer that, I'm going to say no, because a lot of us are not aware of the invisible scars of the mother wound. In fact,
No.
a lot of us aren't even aware in many cases that we have a mother wound. And that this is why we're unable to identify why our relationship patterns are dysfunctional,
Mm.
because we don't even understand the source. We don't even understand what's happening.
No. I didn't realize I had a mother wound at all. But
Well,
all my physical needs were taken care of.
okay, so then I'm going to, is it okay if I talk about your situation because you've talked about it on the show before?
Sure.
And I can talk about myself as well. In your situation, you said you had a mother that was very, she was loving and she was caring. And I think for those of us who have mothers who we feel that we receive love, right? We feel that our parent is giving to us. But see, the unknown parts, and this is for me as well, or I should say, the ways that we could be traumatized and don't realize it, is that the love that we experience, one, is conditional. It might be conditional on your behavior. It might be
Mhm.
conditional on how well you fit the role.
Right.
And it might be conditional on how they operate. So for example, if your mother is in a relationship with your father or another person they're in a relationship with, and
Uh-huh.
that person isn't whole, that person is emotionally immature, that person is emotionally abusive, out of that mother's womb, she could love and care for you in her way, but at the same time, allow you to be abused by someone else and not protect you, not do anything, not stand up for you.
Mhm.
That's
Ooh.
traumatizing. That's wounding. And so to have that, to have this dichotomous experience where sometimes you're loved, sometimes you're protected, sometimes you're not, you don't really know what to expect, that is traumatic. And
Ooh.
what will happen is, and this is why it's important to understand these experiences are the basis for how you learn to love, for how you learn to bond. So what I just explained was parentifying, mean you meet the mother's needs, and then the mother is idealizing you, praising you, giving you a lots of attention and admiration, and then either discarding you or devaluing or scapegoating you. Scapegoating meaning that you're responsible. You're the problem when things don't go well. When they can't deal with their emotions or they can't deal with the environment, they try to basically put it on you. If you would stop this, doing this, if you would do it this way. So
Right.
when you think about that, what I just named, what I just described, what very popular personality disorder is everyone talking about that reminds you of praising you, idealizing you?
A narcissist. Breathe, Earth.
But see, this is the place, and I'm trying
Woo.
very hard to use clean language. This is the place where people struggle to go. But this is where we have to go to get to the root, to understand who we are.
Mm.
Because if a parent, and this is why the term emotionally immature can be very helpful, because some of the ways that our parents, our mothers, have attempted to parent us through their own wounds. Now, here's when it's going to get real. I need you
Mm.
to take a breath, because these patterns groom you for narcissist and trauma bonds later on. They look the same, but they may not be as intense as the way the narcissists we tend to talk about, the way that they may execute it. But there is gaslighting, there is control and power dynamics, there is devaluing and shaming and discarding.
Yeah, I was just
And
gonna say
oh,
that discarding. Go ahead.
no, so I just wanted to point that out, that when we talk about the mother wound and why it's so insidious, it's and so pervasive. So when you think about how Black women are raised to be super women, to be
Mm,
people pleasing, to be codependent, well, when you have mamas with these kinds of wounds, we are ready and well prepared to attract a narcissist who will treat us the very same way, because we bond and we relate based on what is familiar.
exactly. What the subconscious attracting the subconscious.
Yes, well, it's actually deeper than that. You may have heard me say this, that it is the, and I'm going to talk about in the Love You Challenge. We'll be discussing that at the end, but that is the repetition, the compulsion repetition,
Yeah,
the desire to repeat, which we know that happens in victims of trauma. Because if my mama is living from survival mode, can she teach me how to thrive?
absolutely not.
Can she teach me how to be my full whole self?
No, no autonomy whatsoever.
Can she teach me how to express and connect and respect my voice?
Not at all. That's
Is
where
that
that people pleasing comes in.
yes, but isn't that also what a narcissist or manipulator or someone with narcissistic traits do? Isn't that the same thing they do?
Oh my God, yes. Drink some water on this.
That's the piece that is hard to swallow. But see,
Ugh.
I'm going to say this so that anyone watching can take a breath, that trauma over time becomes decontextualized. That means that when we experience trauma, we can lose a connection or understanding or awareness of the trauma experience. So we're not aware of the behaviors that result.
Is
We're
that somewhat like cognitive dissonance?
Well, it can be cognitive dissonance, can be one symptom of that disconnect, because the way that you think, the way that you relate, the way that you see yourself has been shaped by the trauma. But so if the trauma happened when you were a child, you will lose context. You won't recognize. This is why the work can feel painful, because you are really uncovering and peeling back layer after layer of why you are the
Mm,
way you are.
yes, that's true about the painful part of it. But if you want to thrive, sometimes you just gotta go through that fire if you choose to, if one chooses to. Because if you don't know, you don't know. But the cycle still repeats. I mean, I saw it in myself for sure.
Yeah, but most people don't even know that they're in a cycle. That's the problem, because the what's in the cycle is normal. They don't know it. I didn't know it.
Yeah, I didn't know it either. May I read some comments?
Absolutely.
You all you get a lot of love in the comment section. Also, again, you all that's listening, make sure and let me know where you're tuning in from. Drop your city and state. I would love it. And if anything resonates with you, drop a heart emoji in the comment section. Put a number one, whatever is convenient. Let's see. Hi, Linda. You have some hellos. I'm trying to find her.
Hello.
Linda is my mentor. I love her.
Hey, Linda.
So breathing in and out.
Yes, please breathe, honey. Breathe.
Okay, here we go. Speak on. Oh, Georgette. Hi, Georgette. I remember
Hey.
Georgette.
Yes, she is my love. She is one of my students of love for real.
Yes, I enjoyed listening to her when she speaks. Hi, Tina Riley. She said, Sarita, you are dope as hell. Thank you for what you do and putting good in people in front of us. Good people in front of
Thank
us.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that love.
So there's just one more. Uh Georgette also said the lady who asked about the daughter abusing the mother could also benefit here. There seems to be a mother wound perpetuated in her own parenting, not blaming, just giving another perspective.
Yes,
Thank
and
you,
I can
Georgette.
appreciate that,
Yeah,
because that's exactly it, and that's usually why we don't set boundaries, is because there is a wound. This is why we can't afford to ignore or hide from our patterns and from our pain.
Exactly. Felicia said my mother was very evil, hateful towards me from forever. I'm
I'm
sorry to
sorry, my
hear that.
love. Yes, but I know that you're doing the work, and
Mm,
really, I can only say that for in most cases, almost always, but I'll say in most cases that a mother who is hateful to her child is because she's hateful towards herself. That's
say
the
it again.
wound. That's
Say
the
it again.
generational wound.
It really is. Hello from Virginia. Hello, Latoya. Thank you for tuning
Hey,
in.
absolutely.
All right. And Georgette says you are the real Black girl trauma expert. And is.
I own that. I resemble that remark. Thank
All
you.
right. So is a mother wound, is it specific to gender? Meaning, does the wound look different in males, females?
We talking about human beings, okay? So is it specific to gender? No, absolutely not. If a male child does not have his needs met, that are his human needs, everything that we talked about earlier, if that is the case, oh, something will go wrong. So they will absolutely struggle with intimacy, with connection, with vulnerability, with identifying their emotions. They could be enmeshed with their mother, meaning she can make her son her emotional husband, and which means that
Ooh.
there's no boundary. So it's all about what mama want all the time, anytime, and don't nobody else come before mama. Okay. And so, and mama can have some immature issues in responses to the male child dating or getting married because she is not emotionally, she has not allowed her child or encouraged or the development of her child to emotionally separate from her.
Mm.
So, yes. And it could be the other side where they could really hate their mama, hate women, have issues with women in general, see women as objects because
Yes.
in a sense they could have been treated as if they were an object that was
Mm-hmm.
used at their mama's disposal. And so we're talking about human development. So anytime that nurturing does not happen, oh, there will be wounds and it may look different based on culture. Because here we have when men are um, abused or abandoned, then what could happen is they could identify, and this is actually a defense mechanism, they can identify with the aggressor. And that basically means that they could take on those emotionally immature or covert narcissistic tendencies. So they will treat you like they mama treated them. And so instead of you
Wow.
being a partner, you're going to be the fill-in parent that they're going to take that abuse out on you.
Can you give
That's
an
why
example?
can I get an example of what that would look
Yeah.
like? So let's say, and it can go either way, like enmeshment, but you said that when I talked about like the abuse. So let's
Mhm.
say a male child is verbally abused. There's some of the examples that you gave, like you look like your father. Like if the mama got issues, and basically she's demeaning, she's verbally abusive,
Mhm.
she is not nurturing emotionally. She tells the male child, the little boy, that he's a man and he need to be a man, and if he cries, something's wrong with him. What will
Mhm.
happen is that child can easily then hate their own emotions because anytime they showed emotions, they were judged, they were shamed, they were criticized. So now, as a defense, oh, I don't know how to be vulnerable, I don't know how to be intimate. So when I get with you, if you are needy, which you most likely will be because trauma attracts trauma, you know you want me to be a certain way, and then I feel like you criticizing me like my mama, I'm going to lash out, I'm going to go off, I'm going to seek self-worth by probably having multiple women, you know what I'm
I
saying,
was
that
just
I'm
gonna
dogging
say
out,
that.
that I'm pimping, that I'm showing you who's biased, what's going on. That's part of the discard. You see what I'm saying?
It's funny you say that because when I learned that, I started thinking. I'm looking at some men the ones who are really out there. Like, well, what was going on when he was a child that he just literally has to sleep with every single woman and just throw them away like a piece of wrapper and go on to the next. You just
Well,
broke it down.
and that's it. Because, they can have a sex addiction, which still is from a wound. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They could have intimacy issues, love avoidance, counterdependence. They could have been taught by other male figures that they respect, that this is what it means to be a man. This is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to love. So if you have that, absent fathers who are showing intimacy and value intimacy and connection, and then your mama don't know how to be intimate with you in a healthy way, because intimacy is closeness, right? If your
Right.
mama got on a mask and she got on wounds, then you have no examples of what it means to what it means to have a healthy relationship and connect emotionally. You don't know what that is. It's foreign as hell to you.
And then the cycle continues.
It absolutely
It
continues.
does. So, all right. We'll put a pin in that. It sounds I can think of 3 different shows right now that we could do based on what you just said. So we're going to get back to the mother wound. And if some people do not know, they hear what Cerita's saying, but these are some symptoms. So take a look. We have this infographic here. And this shows on how the mother wound can manifest itself. And you've talked on a lot of these already. Would you like to pick out one that stands
Sure.
out to you?
So the inability to set boundaries, like when you talked earlier about enmeshment, having the experience where your boundaries weren't respected, you weren't taught how to have boundaries. And if you tried to set boundaries, then your mother might, or your mother might have either punished you in some way, shamed you, judged you. There was a consequence. So you don't know how to set boundaries, because for you in this situation, love means sacrifice.
Oh, woo.
Insecurity with body and physical appearance. Absolutely. And let's keep it real. The mother wound is said to be passed down from women who have a deep sense of unworthiness. And some women
Right.
can have a deep sense of unworthiness and have not had extensive trauma. But we also have to talk about the patriarchy. So just living in a culture that devalues women and children can cause a lot of insecurity, especially when it comes to body and physical appearance. We know this, especially now we got social media. So if
Right.
mama doesn't know what security means, then her insecurity is going to show up in her parenting and how she relates to her children.
Mm.
Codependency in relationships, same thing, no boundaries, meaning I how I see myself is based on whoever I'm with in a relationship, or based on my mama. How I feel,
Wow.
I
Wait,
got to
hold
look
on,
for
wow.
her.
Back that up. That just,
Oh.
woo, that was good. Based on who I am in a relationship with. What?
Well, yes, because if you have no boundaries, like you're enmeshed with your mother, then
Right.
how mama feels determine how you feel. What
Yes.
mama thinks determines how you think, because there's no boundaries. And so that same behavior pattern that we don't have any awareness of is going to continue in all your relationships, where now you are looking for, well, if my person is happy, then I'm happy. What my person wants, I want. What they think,
Wow.
I can't make a decision on my own, because I have to go with what they think, because I don't know myself well enough to be able to be clear about what I think and what I want.
Oh my God. It just dropped in my head. I've said this and I've heard it several women say when they've been in relationships and they lost themselves. And that's how it looks.
Well, that's because they never had themselves in the first damn place. You just probably
Damn.
had a little bit more power and a little bit control when you was by yourself, because you was forced to make decisions on your own. Because I've been there, done that. I can start businesses. I can go to school. I can do all that, because these are things that require structure. Like, do this, do that. When you go to school, you get a syllabus. You know what I'm saying? Relationship ain't got all that. So when you get in a relationship, you just gotta meld it to the other person. Well, because that's what I do. I'm giving. I'm so loyal. I'm an empath. I care about what other people think. No, you've been traumatized. You don't even know who you are. You don't know what you want, and you don't know how to be assertive and advocate for yourself, because you don't know your voice.
Mind blown. And if anyone has questions for Cerita, please drop them in the comment section. Let's finish this list. Chronic self-judgment, self-criticism, comparison to others. That resonates with me. Uh,
That's basically toxic shame. And
yeah.
so, yeah, and that translates to what we call a harsh inner critic. So you got a mean girl in you that can
Mm,
absolutely shape and impact your self-esteem and your confidence, which is why you end up attracting or can end up attracting a partner who will do the same thing.
God damn. All right. Last one on this infographic. Would you like to read it?
Yes, fear of displeasing your mother or looking at her before you make any decisions. That goes back to what I was just explaining in codependency. And so you have that fear because, listen, the mother wound is so important and it's so necessary for you to understand because your connection to your mother is based on your survival. And this is
Mm,
why we got to understand ourselves and our history because when the attachment is threatened, we are talking about biology. We are driven to connect. So if that attachment is threatened by your mama's trauma,
wow.
every time what will be sacrificed is your authenticity. This is why you don't develop your voice. You don't know who you are and you don't know what you want because the primary directive is survival. And if all
Woo!
you got is a mama who knows how to survive, that is all you will know how to do
Wow.
is
This was
survive.
reminded me of an old coworker I had a long time ago. And she, at the time, she was in her mid 50s. Her mother had passed away 25 years prior to that. And she told me, she said, her mom had her so scared. She's like, if her mother was to be alive to this day, she's like, I'm still scared of my mom. My mom's been gone for 25 years.
And there some black mamas are taught or believe that they have to put the fear of God into their children in order to control them. And let me keep it real. Everything that we're talking about is meant for us to recognize the truth, not
Mm,
to shame and blame your mother. We are
wow.
talking about behaviors and not the person. And see, some of us, including me, it took me a long time to heal my trauma, even though I was going to all the classes, doing all the things. And I struggled because it was very difficult for me because I idealized my mother and my relationship with her. And in my eyes, all the dysfunction, all the toxicity, all of the painful things that she did, I minimized it. I felt that my primary directive was to maintain the relationship with her. There was never a question about should I forgive her. It was how can I make it better because I learned that her needs were the most important. See, that's the problem when a woman who's wounded or has is emotionally mature, she teaches her children that because she can't regulate herself. She can't calm herself. She can't soothe herself. And when you do something, she blames you even though you are the child. You are not responsible for her emotions. But she doesn't know because no one taught her. And so
Exactly.
that trauma, it was difficult and even it is now because I do love my mom, but she was inconsistent. Her love was conditional. She did not protect me. She did not respect my voice. She did not respect my boundaries.
Mm,
And
wow.
so how did I know how to get into a relationship and respect the boundaries of the person I'm with? How did I know how to communicate feelings and understand emotions and respect my person? I didn't know how to respect. In fact, I took pride in not respecting her. And so it
Oh
wasn't
my
until
God.
I told the truth and I had to set boundaries and I had to acknowledge the very painful things that was done to consistently deny my feelings, my perspectives, and my experiences.
Hmm. I had, now that you're speaking, I never saw my mother. I always saw her as my mother and not a human.
That's right. That's right.
And so let me know if there's a connection. So picture me now as an adult in a relationship, is there a connection with romanticizing that partner, meaning you see them as the knight in shining armor as opposed to seeing them as a effed up individual they could be, emotionally immature person?
Hell yes.
You know what? Show is
That's
over.
the
I'm
key.
done. I learned. God,
That is the key.
oh
We
my.
just don't romanticize our partners just out of the clear blue. Oh my God, how did I get in a trauma bond with this person who's so mean and devaluing? You idealized him from the beginning, or her. You idealized them from the beginning. You didn't see them for who they were. You ignored the red flags. You didn't question how they violate. They didn't even have boundaries. It was like, oh, we're in love after 36 hours. You didn't question how they idealized you, but see, their idealization is manipulative. Your way of idealizing is based in your trauma.
Wow. Did you see the light bulb go off on my head?
The idealization is the
Ooh.
problem. That is one of the key reasons why we ignore red flags, because idealizing a traumatizing parent, again, is imperative for your survival. How would a child survive if they have the clarity to understand that they are being violated, hurt, abused every single day? That a child don't even have the capacity. It's too overwhelming. So we compensate by shifting reality. Don't see
Wow.
them as they are, and we don't see ourselves as we are. This is why we feel unworthy. This is why we don't recognize our strength, because we don't have correct vision based on the bond that we had to build in order to survive.
Mm. That was a lot, but it was good. It was good.
That's
May I read a comment? Latoya, thank you in advance for this comment. She said, my mother transitioned at an early age in both of our stages. She wasn't affectionate, yet she provided me with opportunities and experiences. I find I have done the same. I'm a veteran elementary school teacher, a parent of one mini me, my son, yet I feel I have attracted narcissists along the way.
I want to honor you and thank you for your vulnerability and for your honesty. And so awareness is key,
Mm.
because if you said she taught you how to do, she taught you how to, be successful in the world and how to manage externally. But if she wasn't affectionate and she didn't give you that emotional nurturance that every human being needs, well, you never develop it. That's part of the work. You have to develop it for yourself. And so what happens is a lot of us who are super women, who are empathic, who are codependent, we think that we're vulnerable because we're good, because we're loyal, because we know how to do all the things, and we know how to save, and we know how to fix, and we know how to rescue. So we automatically think that we're vulnerable. You're not. You're
Mm.
not. And you know how you're not based on who you attract.
Ooh.
And if you're see, the thing is, vulnerability requires us to unmask, to burn the cape. And if I'm still out here doing, saving, flexing, don't know how to rest, don't know how to relax, always looking to help somebody, I'm selfless. I don't need anything. I don't need to rest. No, I'm okay. And then we crying in silence. Nobody loves me. Nobody respects me. Nobody thinks about me. Nobody takes care of me. You're not vulnerable because you don't ask for what you need. You don't allow people to support you. You don't show who you really are. You
Mm.
don't acknowledge your own humanity. And so you will find that you will attract partners who will give you all that. Okay.
Ooh.
That was a hard thing for me myself to realize, because no one could have told me I wasn't vulnerable. Just because I know how to
Right.
say, like, I love you. I know how to do stuff for you. So I'm vulnerable. That ain't got nothing to do with emotions or emotional maturity or even identifying your emotions. We do all the things, but then I'll ask you, how do you know when you're sad? We be like,
Crickets. But could cuss somebody out in a moment.
girl, got all the language, the lingo. I got like a poisonous tongue. But if you ask me, am I sad? I'm like, I'm numb. If you numb,
And
baby,
I'm
you ain't
numb.
vulnerable. You ain't vulnerable.
No. Mm. Georgette, I agree. I love Sarita's confidence in teaching and empowering us. That's the part
Thank
I love.
you.
I love.
Girl, I still surprise myself. I ain't gonna lie. But this is, over the and it's this is why we must do the work. Because in my trauma, I could not even imagine this level of confidence with speaking my truth in public on the internet. I couldn't
Mhm.
even have imagined that. But the healing, it just it takes over and you become who you are without
Yes.
without reservation. You ain't got to work for it. You ain't got to earn it. You just showing up is you, and you is fly. You is
See?
a miracle. You got resources and love and clarity and wisdom that you ain't even tapped into yet. Because
Ooh.
you got on 13 masks and probably about 20, 25 capes, give or take one or three.
Exactly. Tina said, get out of my business. I get it. We feel seen. I'm sure that's what she meant on that. We
I
feel
love it. I
seen.
see you, baby, because I am you. That's the thing. And that's why we struggle in silence. And this is why the generational trauma continues, because we think that we can do it all on our own. Meanwhile, we love helping everybody else. Everybody else can get their needs met, but not you.
Exactly. Exactly. Latoya said they consider me the mama nurturer of the grade level and some others in the school.
Oh, that means she saves, she rescues, she loves on the babies. She
Mm-hmm.
probably, takes care of the ones who she sees. I'm guessing, you can let me know if I'm right, that need to be taken care of. She probably goes above and beyond. That is
Mm-hmm.
a part of having high empathy. However, do you allow yourself to receive that level of love, care, and attention from other people in your life?
Wow. Whew. Georgette said, "Yes, I learned how to be emotionally unavailable. I have been since becoming a student of Love You."
Yeah, see, she is my student. She is in Love University. And so I thank you for that. I thank you for that testimony right there, because this is the work. This is the work, because we can't break these generational curses if we are lying about our experiences and how we see ourselves.
Exactly. Speaking about doing the work, here are some ways, and definitely peel back some layers, Sarita. Here are some ways to mother yourself. And if you can explain what the mothering of yourself,
Yeah. Can you take the comment off the screen?
I sure can.
And
Right
so
there.
Ursula is now getting into like the like kind of healing aspect of nurturing the mother wound. And really what that's called is reparenting yourself,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging your experiences, your story, your inner child, the part of you that is still stuck, that is hurting, that is wounded, and that has been ignored, devalued, and discarded by you. And
Mm-hmm.
so I want to acknowledge all of you who are mothers, because when you see the way that you've been mothered, you'll also see how some of that you may have passed down, unintentionally or unconsciously. So I encourage all of you to first be gentle with yourself. Today, in this moment, be willing. I'm still going to so put it back up.
Uh-huh. I'll
I'm
put
still
it up.
going. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm asking you to be willing to be compassionate with yourself. To, as you begin to see your parent as a human being, see yourself as a human being. You are fallible. You are flawed, but you also have so many wonderful, amazing things about you. And so the healing process requires you to absolutely have a foundation of self compassion, because everything else becomes easier and will unfold in a way that you cannot expect. Become the best friend that you are to other people. Become the friend that you've
Mm,
always needed. You
right.
know how to take care of others. You know how to nurture others. You know how to support them and validate their feelings. But see, the problem in the mother wound will have you feeling stuck when it's time to give it to yourself.
Wow. Wow.
That is what must happen, is you must learn to receive what you've always needed. And the only person who could do that now that you are an adult is you. You cannot,
Hmm.
there is no Prince Charming. I don't care how good they are. I don't care how good the D is. I don't care how much they tell you that they can give you everything that you've ever needed, because no one else can meet that wound for you. It is inside work. The wound is your disconnection to your own soul.
Mm,
No other human being as an adult can do that. The time has passed. The time for unconditional love that a mother provides is in childhood. It's your responsibility to love you.
hmm. Felicia, thank you for your comment. She says, I really feel stuck. I know what that feeling is like. It literally feels like an emotional speed bump. Just could not get over it. But I don't know if you are a member of Love You, but that will definitely help you put your foot on the pedal to get over that speed bump. I'm about to cut.
I did good today.
Right. And oh, Shondella says you're bringing me to tears.
Oh, honey, because I love you, because I am you, honey. I am
Yeah,
you. And it's
let it.
okay. Yes, you're allowed to cry.
Yeah, let it
A
out.
lot of us need to, instead of sneaking in the bathroom and crying in the pillow. You know what I'm saying? A lot of us need
Right.
to express, because some of us have never really had the safety to cry.
Exactly. I've heard, it's weak to cry. Just suck it up. You're sensitive. Well,
I've heard a
maybe I am too sensitive. Well, let me just suck it up. Meanwhile, I'm about to explode inside times 30 plus years. That's explosive.
Yeah, and that is what Black women are taught. How do you think Black women got this whole strong Black woman thing? That means we've perfected numbing, hiding, denial, and discounting and devaluing our own feelings. That's the only way you can be strong all the time.
Exactly.
So, ways to mother yourself. You got to reassure yourself. That just goes back to everything I talked about
Mhm.
giving yourself what you need. So, you want to validate your own feelings. You want to pay attention to how you feel, because your feelings again are valid, and most of us we don't do good with emotions. We don't do good with identifying them. We don't do good with feeling them. We like to think about emotions because that's how we cope. And
Wow, that is so true. The thinking part.
it's called intellectualization, honey, where you think about your feelings, but you ain't feeling them because there's a disconnect. So, really, again, this is about you reconnecting to you,
Excuse,
nourishing yourself. That was the next one on the list. You got to
excuse me.
nourish yourself.
1 second. Anybody who is a Love You student and Sarita's just talked about intellectualizing, who do I sound like? Stop telling me a story. That's a story.
Did you just call me out like that? You're so disrespectful. No, actually, you're right. That would be me. I don't want to hear no damn stories, because see, I'll be like, well, so how does that feel? Well, see, what happened was in 1982, uh, such and such said, and you ain't missing a feeling in 5 minutes of talking. And that's
Yeah.
how we get around. That's why listen, if you want to deal with me, whether it's coaching or you and love you, but love you, or when you join the Love You Challenge,
Hmm.
no, we're not here to tell stories. We're not doing a fireside chat. Okay. We
Not
are
the
healing.
fireside.
We are healing. Okay. We're not doing podcasts. We are healing for real. I don't want to hear all the stories you have told yourself over years to maintain your denial. Mm-mm.
Ooh, ouch. That one hurt. Okay, you said nourish yourself, and feel free to jump anywhere you want to and add.
Yes, teach yourself what you need to know. Heal. You get to know yourself. Give yourself pep talks. That means ride for you. Be your own cheerleader. You know how to do
Mm.
it. You've been doing your whole life for other people. I ain't got to give you instructions on how to cheerlead. You've been the head coach, all the goddamn players on the team. You've been creating the cheers, doing the choreography, making the costumes.
And
Am
all
I
the
right?
plays.
You see what I'm saying? You even doing the interlude. You know what I'm saying? You know what to do. You got to be willing to forgive yourself, baby, because listen, the one thing that I had to learn, and I tell you all the time, the goal of understanding your trauma is to excuse me, is to own your innocence.
Mm,
Your trauma is not your fault, but it is your
it's your
problem.
responsibility.
Responsibility. So you got to be willing to forgive yourself because as human beings, we are programmed. We are a product of our environment. And when you can understand that, you can be honest about what you experience and then take responsibility for it. There is no room for shame in this. Okay. So that means, again, practice self compassion and take care of yourself. All of these are around care for you, not
Mm,
the external faux care of, oh, I'm going to take a bubble bath. That's cool. But I'm talking about care for your heart, care for your soul, care for what you need internally. Be gentle
yes.
with yourself when you make a mistake. You're human. Perfectionism is a trauma response. You are not perfect. You can never be. And see, the only people that will expect you to be perfect is a narcissist and a manipulator because you
Wow.
can never be. You can only grow, which is what you're designed to do. Require a certain level of care from others. That means set boundaries. Don't take no BS. Okay, like when you honor your feelings and you have a respectful relationship with yourself, you will demand the same from others. Okay, care for you, care for your physical body, care for your mind, your heart, and protect your peace. Okay.
She broke that down. Let's see. Georgette said she doesn't want the narrator.
Uh,
She sure doesn't. The
I
only
know.
time she listens is when the inner child is speaking. All of a sudden, she, this is so true. She becomes sweet and ready to listen. Yeah.
Because see,
Right.
let's be very clear. A lot of us have a news reporter, a part of us who like to report stuff and wants to be like, well, this happened and wants to give like that ain't gonna help us heal. Okay. That's not going to get us to the root. But see, your inner child, she don't tell stories in a way that is about um resisting accountability or connection. Your inner child is your truth. So when the
Mm,
inner child speaks, it is the story that has you stuck. It's the story that has caused you pain, not the story that you made up so that you can distance yourself from your pain. Those are two very different parts. And I can tell the difference. So you can't play
yes.
me with that. You can't play me because I know.
So we have a question, Tamiko. How do you separate the feeling of betrayal with relationships with other people you feel your mom needs to let go of out of respect of the mother-daughter relationship?
How do you separate the feeling of betrayal? First of all, you can't separate a feeling of betrayal because that would be intellectualization. That would be you engaging in some form of denial. You can acknowledge the betrayal for what it is. It's a betrayal. And see, you're saying that how do you separate the feeling of betrayal with the relationship with other people? So basically, I'm understanding that it means that mom got relationship with people who have betrayed you, and thus you feel betrayed because mom is still having a relationship with them. So what's interesting is that you said mom needs to let go. But see, when there is a betrayal and you are an adult, you have the choice of whether or not you are going to let go. You cannot control her. You can't control anybody. You can't make her, force her, encourage her so that you feel better and then you get to maintain the relationship with her. Your question embedded in there is some level of control. And you do not have any control over who your mom is in relationship with, even if that relationship is hurting you. You can only control your response to that. I've experienced that with my own mother.
Right.
You can set, excuse me, so when I get excited, I get moist. You can set boundaries and you can express, let's be very clear. You can express yourself if you are interested and if you feel it's safe. You can express your feelings, but I suspect that if you express the fact that you want this relationship to end, mom is not going to take it well.
No.
And that's the problem because you are not directly, for whatever reason, communicating what it is that you want and need from her, and then dealing with the consequence of whether or not she'll give it to you. There's no safe way around dealing with people who betray you or who have traumatized you or they got their own trauma. You just want to do the easy way out, and there is none.
Wow. Thank you for your question. Oh man, we have to start wrapping it up somewhat. But before we do, can we do a part 2?
I absolutely am open to that. I would love to.
Yeah, I know you're on a time constraint and I want to respect your boundaries on that, but man, there's so much more I
Well,
want to
we can
add.
go for 15 minutes and answer questions, and I'll try to keep my answers brief.
Okay. So if anyone else has questions, this is the time right now. Please just type them in the comment section as well. And before we go on, make sure you subscribe. This is Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together channel, even though we're streaming on Cerita's, but make sure you go to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. There are probably 4 or 5 other videos with Cerita and I, and she is going in, and it was a love fest going on. So you have to go back and search. I can't tell you the number of the.
We've done
Just
a
go
few.
back and look. You'll see both of our pretty faces on there.
She's right.
She is right. Ooh. Yeah.
I'm sorry, baby. You know, when we're not protected, it is very painful. And I will tell you that that is a part of our history as Black women. You know, when you really understand, I don't know if we've ever really had the luxury of knowing or feeling protected, which is why now we are demanding it.
Mm.
When a mother has wounds and she's traumatized, this is why we keep secrets. This is why we embody so much shame, because they will as what you described, they will attempt to hide and deny any kind of abuse, anything that will make them look bad. And unfortunately, so many of us have been sacrificed because our family is doing brand management. They worry damn about the image more than the pain
Absolutely.
of the child. That is trauma on trauma on trauma because
It's
they don't know how to deal with it.
They don't, and it's so compounded, and I can see where that toxic shame increases because you want to cover up that incident. Nobody talks about it.
Everybody in denial, lying to themselves, pretending that what happened didn't happen, and then wonder why all the relationships are toxic.
Exactly.
Wonder why then you get with a narcissist.
But then want to go off on that narcissistic partner. But we're going
And
to
he,
ignore what happened back in the past.
but that's why you got with him, because that's all you know how to do is ignore.
Exactly. Erica, sorry I missed your questions. Erica wanted to know, do you find that women who were not mothered properly seek out mother figures in their relationships? That's a good question.
It is a good question. I think that that's a possibility depending on what specific wounds or issues that they have. But see, what I think happens more frequently is that they seek out the dynamics
Can you explain a little more?
of their. Okay, so if I wasn't mothered properly and I have the dynamic with my mom, like you gave an example of enmeshment, of,
Yes.
codependent. So I will seek out friends where, like, I have no idea who I am. We're besties. Whatever she wants, how she wants it, I will placate to her needs. I will get into people pleasing. Or on the flip side, like me and my relationship with my mom is we did all that, but then uh we gonna turn around and cuss each other out. You know what I'm saying? Fight, argue, you know what I'm saying? Point fingers, blame, and then talk about how we need to work on our relationship. And I have a friend like that, and we have joked for over 20 years that we need to go to friends counseling because we had a very codependent relationship.
Mm.
Everything we did, we did it together, lots of things. uh One wanted to get in one business, the other got into it. We were very similar. There was no differentiation between us. But then we
Really?
would flip, and then we could, at the drop of a dime, let me just say, to put it politely, we would break up. And when I really looked at it, I had a very similar, both loving and volatile relationship with my mom.
Wow. I'm going to have
Does
to
this
dig
make
deep
sense?
on that one. That makes a lot of sense. It mirrored.
Yes. And her demandingness and her personality is the same.
Really?
Oh, yes. And that's why the relationship was very unpredictable, just like my relationship with my mom. Because
Mm.
you could pop off or go off at any time, and then you could be so loving and caring and meet my needs and be the bestie that I've always wanted. And then it could flip in a second. And we don't talk to each other for 6 months, 3 months, 2 days, whatever it is. And here's the deal: we never actually addressed the root. We would just pick up where we left off, just like me and my mama.
Wow. That's a cycle.
That is the cycle.
Oh, Latoya, I want to hug you right now. She said, "Thank you so very much. I am crying now. And that's not an easy thing for me to do." Girl,
Yeah,
that's right. Release and let it out.
that's absolutely real.
Woo.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And listen here, because if y'all really want to get to the root of the love you of your mother wounds, then you need to join the love you challenge, because that's what I'm doing. Okay. And
Exactly.
so, and I honor all of you for being willing to tune into yourself enough to have that emotion.
Exactly. Georgette says, "How can we repair this type of relationship with our own young children?"
You should know what I'm about to say. First, you need to repair your relationship with yourself.
Self.
Because when you repair your relationship with yourself, then you have a totally different perspective of what your child is doing. If I'm traumatized and I'm like some typical Black mother, I look at my child, I think what the child is doing is disrespectful to me.
Oh,
You're not listening to me. You're not appreciating me, everything that I give you. It's all about me. But as I heal, I can see that this child behaves in whatever way they know how, because they are trying to get their needs met. But in order to meet a child's needs, I need to be present for the child and not in my own triggers. Vulnerability is the key to repairing any relationship. You got to show up fully you, and you got to acknowledge that the child does not have the capacity, the language, the understanding to always be able to express how they're feeling. So their
mm-hmm.
behavior can be all across the spectrum, and you still have to be present for them, even when you don't like what they're doing.
Right. Speaking of love you, do you know this person right here?
Oh my God, she's a rock star.
Let's talk about this Love You Challenge.
Yes. So, for all of you who have learned some things about yourself, you're wanting to repair your relationship with yourself, with others, to stop the toxic patterns and the attraction, you first need to understand the root. And I'm going to take you through that to understand what trauma is, the impact and invisible scars on trauma, and how it shapes you. And then I'm also going to explain about triggers and what triggers are, and how manipulators and narcissists and people who are emotionally immature use your weapons against you to control you and to
Mm,
get what you want. You can take that down so they can see my face, because I need them to see me as I say this.
I sure will.
It
Keep
is
talking.
June
I'm going to
6th.
take it off.
It is June 6th through the 10th, 7 o'clock p.m. Replays will be available. Sign up at loveyouchallenge.com. You can see it right here next to my name. I wanted you to see my face, because if you've listened to this for longer than 5 minutes, then you know I am the truth at what I do, baby. I am a relational trauma expert, but I have lived this. Okay. I
Yeah.
was built for this. I know my purpose, but I
Mm.
didn't. Listen, I had to know me. I was searching outside myself, trying to figure
Ooh,
out, what am I supposed to do, God? What am I supposed to do? Me, I had no clue until I got to know me. And now I'm here helping you get to know you. Join the challenge, show up live, put it on your calendar. And yes, it is for Black women only. Don't send me no damn messages asking me about, why is it for Black women? Well, I would love to have this, but I'm not a Black woman. It is for Black women only. It is our responsibility to heal our legacy. I am not going to placate to someone who has the inability to talk about race and racism and generational trauma and 250 years of Black women being raped. Okay. We are dealing with truth, and it is time for us to heal for real, and we need a safe space to do it. So please don't bother. And if you accidentally signed up and you are not Black, resign immediately, because we are all about safety, emotional safety, and Black women need that unquestionably. I love your
absolutely.
humanity. However, this is for my sisters, baby. I just had to put that out there.
Georgette said, tell them to find their tribe.
Everybody got a tribe. And this tribe
Everyone
is for
does.
sisters. That's the bottom line. I love you all as humans, but we got to be
Exactly.
safe, baby.
So, Latoya said, yay, school is not out until the 24th in my district. However, I'll share your info in my sister group.
Well, I
Please
love
do.
it. Thank you. And it is in the evening time. So I don't know. I think you said earlier you were an elementary school teacher. And so if you are available in the evening time, you can show up. If not, again, the replays will be available if you're interested. So yeah.
All
I'm
right. So,
showing up and showing out. I'm not
yeah,
playing.
exactly. So I put the link, I dropped the link. It's a live link, everyone. So you don't have to search for it. Just click right on it. And I also posted Sarita's Instagram page as well.
Oh, thank you. I can't
Yeah.
see the comments, so thank you.
Uh-huh. So this was really good. If you felt touched by anything that you heard tonight, please drop a number one in the comment section. I want to
Mhm.
see what's going on. You know, this sister put in a lot of work, so we want to hear it. We need some feedback. We can
Yeah,
do that.
I would appreciate that. And even if you're willing to post an aha moment, that would be extremely helpful, because this channel, Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together, is all about mental health for sisters. Because, see, this is why
Yes,
we vibe so well, because we have a similar mission. You see what I'm saying? And so,
exactly. We're each other's tribe.
yes, for real. Like, yes,
Literally.
that's right. And so it's so helpful to understand how you experience this and what you got out of it, so that we can continue to do more of this. So
Exactly.
yes. And please, I'm just gonna plug Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together for a moment.
Oh, thank you,
Please
Mama.
also, yes, go sign up, download the podcast. But also, if you're willing, like if you enjoy this content, be willing to send be willing to send Ursula a message about why you listen. Why do you tune in?
Thank you.
What's important? What are you getting out of it? Because
Mm,
this content she is creating every week, just like me, right?
right.
She's doing this every week to support, to really be a champion of mental health. And your feedback is necessary so that we can serve you better. So please send
Absolutely.
Ursula a message. Let her know why you love it. You know what I'm saying? We need that. We need that. Feel free to send me one too if you feel like it. You know,
Exactly. Oh, Georgia, you speaking my language. Let me drop that cash app.
look, girl, listen. And mine is $ Cerita Yvonne, baby.
Exactly. And oh, let me do the buy me a coffee as well. If anyone loved any of the content that's going on, you can buy me a coffee for the next podcast that I have. And that's the link right there. Sarita, please, can you end on let us know something? I'll let you have the last word.
Um, my specialty is trauma. And of course, Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together is all about healing. And I'm talking about trauma every day, all the time. But I do so because it's important to be able to name your experience so that you can tame your wounds, your pain, and your dysfunctional behavior. It's all about your self awareness, your growth, your self education, because within you is everything that you need to heal. Within you is all of the love that you need to feel and to acknowledge that you are whole and holy. You are the one that you've been waiting for.
I love that. You are the one you have been waiting for.
You are the one. You have got it.
Yeah.
You are Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity for those who watched the Matrix because Ursula didn't. It's
Did it. I
are
know
you
who
are
that is.
it, baby. You are the divine child of God. You are the embodiment of love already. So you can never really be broken. You can just recognize the ways that your thinking and being is broken based on how you were raised. The
Repeat that
truth
last
is,
sentence again. Based on how
you
you were
can
raised.
never be broken. People say, they feel broken or they are broken. You can never be broken. But what can be broken is your relationship with yourself, your thinking, and your ways of being. And that's where that's why the healing is internal.
Mm.
Because your repair is really your recognition of the truth in you.
Ooh, I love
Healing is a
that.
shift in your perception, getting your shift together. That's what healing is. And so I love all of you for allowing me to join you on the journey. Sign up for the Love You Challenge. I am ready to break down all these walls and break through to the truth. Because again, you got everything you need in you. And I honor you. And I'm just looking forward to all of the transformations that you are going to have. Sign up. And I'll see you tomorrow. We're finishing up our series on narcissism.
Oh, that series has been pretty good. Pretty good. I'm enjoying
Amazing.
it. Definitely. Oh, Sarita, you're a
Mm-hmm.
black girl that still has her shift together.
Listen, I go to the shift every day. That is my goal in terms of growth. Like, to me, how healing is a lifestyle, and I'm signing off on that note. I love you. Remember that love is a decision away, and I'll see you soon. Join the
Thank you all.
challenge.
Thank you all so much for tuning in. And I love all the engagement. You all have a good evening.
Mwah.
This for the queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kissed goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti. Black girl magic, melanin popping. Whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls